An uncivil war has broken out over the Uniform Civil Code. Why should a country like India, which is secular in its nature, not have a secular law? Why should there be a communal law for a secular nation? And why should oral talaq be accepted? Why is it not time to end polygamy? That's the center stage face-off tonight. And joining us, I want to introduce Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, senior leader of the BJP. With us also Kamal Farooqui, member of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, representing the Congress on our show tonight. Amibain Yagnik from Ahmedabad. Also with us, Aijaz Ilmi, member of the Bharatiya Janata Party. We'll also have Yogi Adityanath, the MP from Gorakhpur, who first raised this issue in Parliament, which led to the response that we saw from the Law Minister. I want to go across to Kamal Farooqui first and foremost, because what the Law Minister has said, sir, is essentially that the widest possible consultations will be required for further steps in this regard. While the BJP and this government are committed, as is the Indian Constitution, to the idea of a uniform civil code, all that the government has said so far is that consultations must happen, discussions must start. What is wrong, and why are you personally and the Indian Muslim Personal Law Board seeing red in what seems like a perfectly reasonable thing to do, to begin discussing the idea of whether India can have and how soon can it have a uniform personal code?
Yeah, Rahul, there are three issues in it. Number one, it should not be seen as if the Muslims are the only one who are affected by it and who are opposing it. It is the fundamental right which is going to be affected under Article 25 and 26. I have been given right to follow my religion, propagate it, and under Article 26 to manage my own religious affairs. As far as Article 44 is concerned, yes, it is one of the article over there wherein it has been said that the state will try to have a common civil code. But that does not mean that you will be, whenever there is an election or whenever there is some emotional issues, you would start raising it. Who is stopping you to have a discussion? Go and have a discussion about the whole thing, the legality of the whole thing, whether you can do it or don't do it, whether Article 25 and 26 are over and above the thing, and whether Article 37 itself embark you a kind of embargo that you cannot do all those kind of things without having a wider perspective. So why at all must it these kind of, and as far as the honorable member from the Gorakhpur is concerned, he is famous for raising all these kind of issues, and my learned friend Mr. Subramaniam also has always been raising the, we don't mind, must say that is in the, as far as the manifesto is concerned.
No, but there's a lot of shrill rhetoric that I see already, Kamal Farooqui.
What shrill?
And my questions are very simple.
Rahul,
at a time,
shrill?
if you hear me, sir, if you hear me, Egypt, Iraq, Pakistan and Indonesia, Muslim nations, all of these have already moved towards the idea of a uniform civil code. Why then in India is it such a problem to people like you to even discuss whether we can have a uniform civil code? Why should we not be progressively moving in the direction of implementing a uniform civil code? Are you okay, Mr. Farooqui, with the idea of oral talaq? Are you okay with polygamy? Is it not high time that we change these things, sir?
Yes, Rahul, I am not governed by Pakistan laws or Iraq laws or any other law. I am governed by my constitution, of which I am also the signatory, and my constitution gives me the full right to follow my religion. And as far as the religion is concerned, it is not the Muslim religion at all. It is the Christianity. Even in the Hindus, there are so much diversifications. Even in the areas, we have already given the Mizos and Nagaland the kind of power that it will not be abrogated, whatever their customs, whatever the religion is there. So please understand, don't try to hit the Muslims from it, because it is going to affect the entire unity of the country. And we are ready for a discussion. Who said that we are afraid of any discussion? We are there for the discussion, but don't try to force. Try to discuss like the triple talaq you are saying. You are nobody to discuss about triple talaq. This is my personal affair. Who are you to say about the triple talaq?
Well, there are several Muslim women who we spoke to, young liberal Muslim women, some of whom refused to come on this program, but who said that they are not okay with the idea of a triple talaq. Surely, Mr. Kamal Farooqui, you cannot impose your desire of being okay with a triple talaq on women who are impacted by that, Mr. Farooqui.
For heaven's sake. No, you are nobody to interpret like this that I have the force. I am doing it, whatever I am doing it according to the religion, and my women folk are accepting it. All those people, liberal, so-called liberal people, who do not want to be governed by the Muslim personal law, they have got all the liberty to go to the general law, and they can get married in this, as the law is applicable, then no religion law will be applicable to them.
No, but that was the case also in other countries, which are completely Muslim-dominated countries, like Egypt, like Iraq, like Pakistan, like Indonesia, where personal law has now been codified. Subramaniam, I'm coming back to you. Kamal Farooqui, do not monopolize the debate. Give everyone a fair chance. I'm coming back to you in just a moment. Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, all that the BJP has said so far is that they want to initiate a dialogue and a discussion. But this has already been red-carded by several Muslim groups, because they believe that here is a majoritarian government trying to impose what is a Hindutva RSS agenda. That's been the baggage and the ideology of the BJP, and if you now try and move towards a uniform civil code, people will believe that here is the RSS imposing its agenda. This should not be at all a priority for the Modi government. The Modi government should be focusing on development and governance. Why is it getting into contentious and tricky areas? Swamy.
Well, first of all, it's not an RSS agenda at all. It's a constitutional agenda. Article 44, which is a guiding principle for governance, very clearly says that the government shall strive to have a uniform civil code. Now, that's first point I'd like to make. The second is that Farooqui should go back and read the Constitution. Article 25 and 26 clearly start with the phrase subject to morality, public health and public order. You shall have the freedom to propagate your religion. Now, this is a question now whether we should allow women to have an inferior status in terms of when you measure it in terms of equality. For example, it's not only a question of a man being allowed to marry 3 or 4 times, but also on inheritance. Women have a disadvantage inheritance in the Muslim civil law. So there are when the whole world is moving towards gender equality and gender equal rights, it's totally wrong to have these archaic concepts that somehow women are inferior. In fact, if you go one step forward in the criminal law, according to Sharia, 2 women witnesses are equal to 1 man witness. Now, how can we accept these things? Now, that's finally I would like to say that Muslim community has not regarded it as a interference religion in Australia, for example, United States, where there is a uniform civil code. In fact, Muslim organizations have written to the Prime Minister of Australia when there was a controversy raised by one cleric that we are happy with the uniform civil code and we will abide by the Australian civil
That's a
code.
very important argument that Dr. Swamy makes, that Muslims who live, for example, in the United States follow a uniform law. Why then must Muslims who live in India not be willing to follow a similar law? And how, Kamal Farooqui, can you determine and dictate to a young Muslim woman whether or not she gets a part of her father's inheritance, or what laws will prevail when it comes to her divorce? A patriarchal notion which has been carried down over centuries must at some point in time be challenged. It was challenged amongst the Hindus, which is what led to the Hindu bill coming out. That's how the laws got coded. If it hasn't happened so far as a part of internal discussions amongst the Muslim community, at some point in time, should we not move towards fulfilling what our constitution enshrines?
I'm sorry, Rahul, you are not properly educated as far as the inheritance rights are concerned. The inheritance rights in Islam are so perfect that if I as a father, if after I want to change the order of the priority to the women, to my girl child and boy child, I cannot do it. I have got a very specific share for my daughter and son. In other religion, perhaps it is not possible. As far as my religion is concerned, my daughter has got the right to inherit the property from me, by his brother, by her husband. So she has got the property, and all the expenses, all her maintenance are on the husband. Even if she is making good money out of her own profession, she is not supposed to spend for her family or on herself. It is the duty of the husband to take care of her livelihood. So all these things are very clear. Yes, any law can be misused by any person. So is the case in Muslims also. Muslims may be misusing it.
No, sir,
but
it is
not the
completely
defect of
subject
the law.
to interpretation. I contest very strongly what you are saying, because I must also tell our viewers that broadly there are 6 variants of Muslim law, and you can decide which one you want to follow. Ijaz ilmi. Now, how is it that the BJP will take forward what the law minister has said in parliament? You want to begin consultations, because there's a very real fear amongst the Muslim community that the BJP will try and thrust upon them a pre-decided version of a uniform civil code. Shouldn't this really be coming from within the Muslim community?
No, ideally, yes, the reform has to take place from within the community. We know there are several laws which need to be addressed as far as gender sensitivity is concerned. But let me get back to what you said about this fear of having a law thrust on other communities. Well, the Honorable Prime Minister in his statement to Nai Dunya has clearly said that there's no question of the Uniform Civil Code thrusting Hindu code laws upon other communities who are not ready for it. It talks about drawing on best traditions, having a discussion, a debate. It's a contentious topic, but the fact is the community has to debate it and various aspects. And not only the Muslim community.
Is there any debate taking place in the Muslim community?
Right now, nothing, because we don't have a pope, and rightly so. Every individual is allowed to get forward. The leadership that the Muslim personal law talks about is, I mean, there are some people who are willing to listen to them, but a large section of people are not willing to listen to them. So there's no real leadership on this matter. It has to come, and there are diverse sections. There are women activists, there are lawyers who protest against various inequalities or infirmities. So all these issues can only come out if there are large-scale, wide discussions, and one should not shy away from discussions. Secondly, Mr. Narendra Modi also said that within the Hindu law itself, there are certain antiquated, archaic laws which talk about, which can't be practiced in the 21st century while they look like 18th century laws. And even in the Parsi law, there are various laws which need to be tweaked in view of women
empowerment
all of that. And gender sensitivity.
No, so if there are problems,
how does this happen?
With the Hindu undivided family law, that must also be reviewed.
Absolutely, yes.
If there are problems with the Muslim personal law,
with the Parsi
that
Act,
must be
revoked
and changed. I want to go to Ami Ben Yagnik, because the Congress is already using this as a political issue. I want to quote what Manish Tiwari says. It's going to create absolute havoc in the country. There would be 1 billion mutinies. Therefore, under those circumstances, personal laws are best left untouched. Any attempt by the government would upset the intricate balance and destroy Indian society. It would tear asunder society from within. Now, you've really built up this narrative of what all could possibly go wrong. But the reality is, all that the BJP government is doing at this stage is saying, let there be debate, let there be discussion, let there be consultation, let's see if we can emerge at a consensus. What is wrong with any of what the Modi government is suggesting, Ms. Yagnik? Why are you already trying to polarize opinion and try to milk this issue for political brownie points, Ms. Yagnik?
First of all, there is no question of any polarizing or getting any brownie points. Rahul, the issue here is that the Modi government came to power by campaigning on development and growth, economic growth, and promising all kinds of things, but not a uniform civil code, because that was pushed behind in the manifesto along with Ram Mandir and Article 370. That's the first point. Now suddenly you have come up with this uniform civil code, and so you are giving the country, trying to thrust upon them something which suddenly will come as a shock, because we are a pluralistic society, we are a complete diverse nation, and so if you want to bring anything, you have talked about India first, so you have to be kind of nation centric and take all the communities, all the personal laws, Hindus, Sikhs, Muslims, Christians, and if you want to bring some kind of a uniform code, of course it cannot be a unity code, it will be a uniform code, then you have to take deliberations. Otherwise,
but that's what they're asking for. That is exactly what you're saying is exactly what the BJP government wants to do. So what's your problem?
But why light the fire before the discussion?
Why are people like Manish Tiwari responding in the way that they are?
1 billion mutinies. I mean, people, let there be a discussion in every community about this.
On your word,
you're using terms like absolute havoc. There would be 1 billion mutinies. Indian society would be torn asunder. Ami Ben Yagnik, please listen to me. Ami Ben Yagnik, listen to me before you answer. Look at the sort of language that is being used. You're already making it seem as if the BJP has decided to thrust a Hindu version of the personal law on the Muslim community. None of that has happened. Why is the rhetoric being raised in this fashion? Why can't we have a sensible debate on whether triple talaq or polygamy or any or inheritance laws are okay or not? Why can't there be a sensible discussion? Why can't you actually support the government on this?
There is no question of supporting or not supporting, but this was in the manifesto on the last page. Suddenly you go back to all your campaign promises and you come out with this program which you had in mind, and this is your main manifesto. So why do this to the people of this country?
Structured response after widest consultation with all the stakeholders. This is, I mean, it's not bringing something from the back burner. It was part of the manifesto, and we're talking about a structured response with a wide stakeholder discussion. I think there's nothing wrong. It could be contentious. It could be throw havoc. But let's be sensible about it. So let's discuss let's talk about women equality and gender equality in the true sense. We have to debate about this, and if reform comes about from within communities and positive suggestions, which could be broad-based, then why not?
I want to go to Kamal Farooqui on what the Congress is saying. Absolute havoc, billion mutinies, intricate balance will destroy Indian society. Society will be torn asunder from within. Do you not think, sir, that this is just an attempt to try and up the ante and to try and use this issue for political mileage without giving any opportunity at all for there to be a concrete discussion on this, sir?
Rahul, I don't subscribe to whatever comments you have said. I don't want to comment on that even also. But tell me one thing. During this discussion, you are only referring to about the issues relating to the Muslims. Why have you not been raising the issues among the Hindus? Why a Mamu and Bhanji in Swamiji's estate? It's very good. In here, it will be a killing. What will
I think you're
this?
misunderstanding
why are you not
this.
Discussing all those kind of
the
things?
point that I made earlier is that if that the point that I made is one second, and here also what Prime Minister Modi said way back in 2005 at the Telegraph debate, which he repeated in an interview to Nai Dunya, that there must be consultation, it must emerge through a consensus, and it isn't as if Hindu law is being superimposed on other communities.
There's no question of trusting the law. I mean, the best practices, traditions, and you can discussion on stakeholders to when you're actually drafting it, get everybody on board and have a discussion on these matters. So there's no question of trusting it. It's been made very clearly. And where's the fire? Why can't we discuss this? Why can't we discuss the reforms within various communities? And Mr. Farooqui, my dear friend, we can't take it personally. Every community has these pitfalls where women empowerment and gender equality is important.
Subramaniam Swamy wants to come in.
The tribals, the Hindus,
and all
the Muslims.
of them must be relooked. Subramaniam Swamy Kamal Farooqui asks, why are only Muslims being questioned on their personal law? Why not the Parsis? Why not the Jains? Why not the tribals?
Oh, sure. All of them are subject to the law according to, as the Constitution says in Article 25 and 26, which for Kamal Farooqui misquoted, is not an absolute fundamental right. It's a conditional or subject to reasonable restrictions of morality, public order and public health. Now, I come to the fundamental. In the population, there is roughly 50% women and 50% men. So it is a natural secular law that the marriages should be only for one man and one woman at a time. Now, obviously, if every man starts marrying 4 women, there is not going to be a opportunity for others to get married at all. It's obvious that therefore the principle that there should be only one woman, one man marriage is a natural law. It's got nothing to do with religion.
That's fair. And I want to go across to Yogi Adityanath, the MP from Gorakhpur, the man who actually asked this question in Parliament. We've been speaking, Yogi Adityanath, to several prominent thinkers, intellectuals, and they feel that here is a situation where a majoritarian government is trying to impose its core fundamental ideology. They feel that जिस तरीके से करंट सिस्टम चल रहा है वो सही है, उसको बदलने की कोशिश की जाएगी तो देश का बंटवारा हो जाएगा, ऐसा बयान मनीष तिवारी ने दिया। कमाल फारूकी कह रहे हैं कि इससे गलत मैसेज जा सकता है, इसको बदलने की कोशिश नहीं की जानी चाहिए। क्यों ये सरकार की प्राथमिकता आपके हिसाब से होनी चाहिए, और जो ग्रोथ और डेवलपमेंट, जो ओरिजिनल इश्यूज हैं, उस पर क्यों नहीं इस वक्त मोदी सरकार को फोकस करना चाहिए, जो कि शायद देश की ज्यादा बड़ी जरूरतें हैं इस टाइम पर?
देखिए, आपको मुस्लिम महिलाओं से बात करनी चाहिए थी, और अच्छा होता कि मुस्लिम महिलाओं के बयान को आप लेते और आरिफ मोहम्मद खान जैसे प्रबुद्ध मुस्लिम लोगों के बयान भी आप लेते हैं। आपको याद होगा कि कॉमन सिविल कोड पर तमाम मुस्लिम बुद्धिजीवियों ने अपने बहुत अच्छे बयान दिए हैं। दूसरा ये कि भारत एक संविधान से संचालित देश है। आज ये तय करना ही होगा कि भारत संविधान से चलेगा या शरीयत से चलेगा। इस देश में अलग अलग शरीय कानून नहीं हो सकते। इस देश में अलग अलग पंथ और मजहब के आधार पर सिविल कानून नहीं हो सकते। अगर भारत के अंदर एक रूपता लानी है, भारत के अंदर एक सद्भाव पैदा करना है, तो भारत को एक समान सिविल कानून बनाना चाहिए। वो देश के व्यापक हित में है। और मुझे लगता है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी बार बार इस बारे में केंद्र सरकार को आवश्यक निर्देश जारी किए।
पर योगी आदित्यनाथ जी, भारत की जो विविधता है, भारत में जो डिफरेंसेस हैं कल्चर में, ट्राइबल कल्चर्स हैं, उनके जो प्रैक्टिसेस हैं, कस्टम्स हैं, उनको अगर आप यूनिफॉर्म कर देते हैं तो भारत की जो एक खासियत है कि इतनी सारी विविधता है, इतनी डाइवर्सिटी है, वो डाइवर्सिटी खत्म हो जाती है। ये कहना है उन क्रिटिक्स का जो नहीं चाहते कि यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड आए। उनका कहना है कि सब चीजों को यूनिफॉर्म नहीं किया जाता। भारत के डीएनए में डाइवर्सिटी है और यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड उस डाइवर्सिटी को खत्म कर देती है। इन क्रिटिक्स को आप कैसे जवाब देंगे?
आप एक तरफ महिला सशक्तिकरण की बात करते हैं और फिर आधी आबादी को उत्पीड़न और अत्याचार का शिकार भी बने रहने देना चाहते हैं। ये विरोधाभास तो स्वयं समाप्त होना चाहिए। और मुझे लगता है कि दुनिया के अंदर कहीं भी ऐसा नहीं है। वहाँ एक सिविल कानून से वहाँ की पूरी व्यवस्था संचालित होती है। फिर भारत के अंदर क्यों नहीं? भारत के अंदर ये प्रश्न क्यों उठाए जा रहे हैं? और फिर भारत का घोषित उद्देश्य ही पंथ निरपेक्षता है। जब पंथ निरपेक्षता हमारा घोषित उद्देश्य है तो अलग अलग पंथ और मजहब पर आधारित सिविल कानून क्यों? अगर पंथ निरपेक्षता है तो एक समान सिविल संहिता पूरे देश के अंदर सबके लिए लागू कर दी जाए। मुझे लगता है इससे बड़ी पंथ निरपेक्षता दूसरी हो ही नहीं सकती।
That's a very important point, and Kamal Farooqui must respond that the very notion of India is that it's a secular country and yet it has communal laws. A secular country, to be truly a secular country, must have a secular law which applies to all.
Rahul, Mahanji has not answered to your question. When we were talking about the tribals' rights, we are talking about the Mizos' rights which we have enshrined in the constitutions, Naga's right which we have enshrined in the constitution, several other communities wherein we have secured them that your tradition, your religion, your practices will continue to be there.
So, but there is a difference. No one is trying to interfere with tradition. No one is interfering with customs. No one is interfering with practices. This deals with, I think you're trying to create confusion. This deals primarily with four issues. With inheritance, with divorce, with marriage. These are the issues that it deals with. Why then create so much confusion and havoc? Those are the issues. There's marriage, divorce, inheritance and adoption. Those are the only issues that need to be dealt with. And on those issues, there must be a common code.
Rahul, even tribals have the same issues. They have got the same issues of marriage. They have got
So
the same
are you
issues
okay
of so
with
many
the idea of
marriages and whatnot.
polygamy?
And
Why should Muslim women or
I am not.
others have to
No,
suffer
no,
the idea of polygamy?
listen,
Why should it not be unified? Why should
Rahul,
it not be codified?
Rahul, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You are jumping from one thing to the other. I'm just trying to say why you are talking only about the Islam and Muslims. Talk everybody, even in the Hindu religion, there are so many diversities. Must it be a person from a south?
But sir, that is the point that is being made, that let those problems also be ironed out. Prime Minister Modi is already on record saying that what is wrong with the Hindu Undivided Family Act also should be changed.
Why are you attacking Islam and Muslims only? Have a larger discussion. We are ready. We are ready for the discussion.
I'm glad there's a larger discussion possible because there are archaic laws which are not in sync with modern times with various communities. And let me talk about polygamy. You raised the issue of polygamy. The first time in 1961, in part of the census, they talked about marriage and that was recorded. Then 74, the government of India came out with a certain document. Then last report came out in 2005, which shows that polygamy is maximum polygamy is in the tribal communities, then it's in the Jain community, then it's in the Muslims, and then last is in the Hindus.
And it needs to be dealt with in all communities,
despite the law,
across all religions.
Despite the law banning polygamy, there is polygamy.
No, I think what we've been able to do is establish that even people in the Muslim law board are saying that they are willing for there to be a discussion.
I'm happy
as long as it's not, as long as a pre-decided code is not thrust on them, as long as what is wrong with personal laws across all
Rahul, nobody
religions,
can thrust.
across all
Let
communities
me
is looked
warn
at,
them. Rahul, let me
then-
warn them. Nobody can thrust on us. We are ready for discussion, but nobody can thrust anything on us.
and I think that
We
is
are
all
ready
that
for
the
discussion.
government
We are
has
ready for
asked for
discussion.
at this time. Let
Yes.
there be consultation,
No.
let there
Now
be
the
discussion,
language-
let us
no, no,
see
the
what
language-
emerges
the
from that.
language- No, Rahul.
Swami, I'm out of time, sir.
Rahul,
Just
the kind
10 seconds.
language
We're out of
Mahendra
time
is asking,
completely.
the Swamiji is
Okay.
asking.
The coun-
Absolutely.
the country can't be torn asunder by discussions.
No, and I think
It
it's
can't be torn
completely
asunder.
wrong to suggest that
There
there will
won't
be
be a mutiny
havoc,
by
there will be
discussion.
a billion mutinies. This is the wrong approach. This is trying to milk it for political purposes. Let there be debate, let there be discussion, let no one view be thrust on others, let the views come from within, let consensus emerge, and if Egypt can do it, Indonesia can do it, Pakistan can do it, and surely so can we. Subramaniam Swamy Kamal Farooqui, Amibain Yagnik, and also to Ejaz Almi for joining me on the center stage face off tonight. Thank you very much.